Hey y'all, it is time for our Unit 3B pre-test video. So this is our unit over writing linear equations. So I want to start off, if I give you that the slope is 3 and the y-intercept is, we'll say, -1. And I ask you to write the equation of a line that passes through those points. Oh my, that's dark. If I can get that a little bit brighter. Passes through these points. Remember, slope-intercept is y equals mx plus b. I can see the slope and I can see the y-intercept. So all I have to do is plug in these points. Hold on, I'm going to try and fix this lighting. Alright, we'll see. We're going to have to avoid that little hot spot right there. Alright, so I'm just going to plug in chug. Where the m is, I'm going to put my slope, which is 3. And where the b is, I'm going to plug in my y-intercept, which is -1. That is the equation of that line. It's that easy. Okay, so let me give you an example. If I give you that the slope is, we'll say, -2, and the y-intercept is, we'll say, -3. Can you write the equation of a line that passes through those points? I'm going to give you just a second in case you're doing it on your dry erase board. Y equals mx plus b. Y equals m is -2x, b is -3. So all you do is plug and check. When you get a y-intercept and the slope, super easy to do it. Now, I'm just kind of looking at your test right here and kind of working on it. One other thing that's on your test this time, I'm going to give you a line. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Alright, so that's at 3, this is at 4. And I'm going to put the equation, I'm going to put 2, 2, and 1, 2, 4, 5, 6. Over 6 down 2. My question is, what is the 0 of this line? Well, and this is kind of like we threw this on there. I don't really know why we threw this question on here, but we did. The zeros, remember the zeros are the x-intercepts. So when you look at this, the x-intercepts is where I cross the x-axis. Where do I cross it? Right here. So the 0 equals 4. Now, let's do a different one. What if I had a line that did this? And I say, what's the 0? You'd say, oh yeah, the zeros are the x-intercepts. Here's the x-intercept, so that's at 2. So the 0 would be 2. Now, what is the y-intercept? I'll call this line M. What is the y-intercept? Y is where it crosses the y-axis. The y-intercept would be -2. So pay attention. X-intercepts and zeros go together. They're the same thing. And then the y-intercept and b are the same thing. So kind of pay attention to that terminology a little bit. All right. Zeros are the x-intercepts. All right, let's do, if I gave you -3x plus 5y equals -15. I'm just going to give you that. And I say, graph this equation. What does the graph of this look like? Well, you can't graph it just by looking. Remember, we're going to have to solve for y. So I'm going to move the x, divide the y. If I move x on this one, if I want it to be gone, I want it to be over here, I would add 3x to both sides, because that would zero out. And that would leave me with 5y over here equals, over here I've got a positive 3x minus 15. So I'm going to divide by the y every single thing. So y equals 3 over 5x minus 3. Now, could I graph that in my calculator? Oh yeah. Let me just do that. let me get my calculator. I'm going to turn it on. Go to y equals, clear out a bunch of stuff. And I'm going to do alpha y equals 3 over 5 x minus 3. I'm going to hit graph. And there it is. So on the one like this, I'm going to give you a bunch of pictures of graphs, and I'm going to say which one matches it. You could do that right there. Just solve for y and graph it. Let's see. What if I gave you something like that one was easy to graph? What if I gave you this? Y minus, that is not working. Y minus 3 equals 1/2 times x plus 4. And I ask you to graph that. Could you graph it? You could. There are a lot of different ways to graph it. In order to graph it, I really need to have it in slope-intercept form. So let's just simplify this. I'm going to draw my line. I need to hippity-hoppity. I'm going to do that first. This marker's had it. I'm throwing it away. So y minus 3 equals 1/2 x, 1/2 times x. Half of 4 would be 2. And then I still need to get this 3 over here. So if I want it to be gone, I need to add 3. And so I'll add 3 here. So that'll leave me with y equals 1/2 x. 2 and 3 will give me 5. Could I graph that? You bet. I could put it in my calculator and I could graph it. All right. Again, I'm just kind of looking at your test and kind of getting some ideas on what I want to show y'all. I want to keep your review short. All right, erase your dry erase board. Let's see. Those, okay. So if I give you, oh, let's do this. If I give you a table. Let me give you a table. If I give you, let me do it this way. Okay, if I give you a table, can you write the equation of that line? Yeah, you certainly could. Now, there's a lot of different ways you can do this. For me, I just like to use my stat button. So I'd go to stat, edit, and I would plug this in, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then I'd go over here, 2, 5, 8, 11. I'd go back to stat, calculate, number 4, we're always doing linear. Hit enter a bunch of times. So y equals 3x minus 10. So y equals ax plus b, and it gave me that a was 3 and b was negative 10. So I'm just going to substitute. A is 3 and b is negative 10. If I wanted to write a little neater, it'd be y equals 3x minus 10. And I wrote the equation of the line. So if I give you a table, dude, just plug it into your calculator. Calculator. All right, if I give you 2 points, let's do 0, 3, and 4, negative 6. If I give you 2 points and I say write the equation of a line, you know what? You can create a table. Because if you can make a table, by golly, I can graph it. All right, so there we go. I say create the table, 0, 3. And then it's just going back and doing that regression. So stat, edit. Remember, go up to the top, hit clear, and then move down. Up to the top, hit clear, move down. 0, enter, 4, enter. 3, enter, negative 6, enter. So go back to stat. But now I want to calculate it. Always go down to number 4. Give you a second to get caught up. Stat, calculate number 4. Enter a bunch of times. Let's see what it says. All right. So y equals ax plus b. This time my a is negative 2.25 and b is 3. Now, you can't give me decimals like that, so I'm going to go negative 2.25. Math, I want to turn that into a fraction, so I say enter. and it says, oh, you want to turn negative 2.25 into a fraction, and I say enter again, and it tells me it's negative 9 over 4. So that means this is negative 9 over 4. All right, and so now I can make my equation. So it'd be y equals negative 9 over 4x plus 3. And there it is. So don't give me decimals. You have to give me it as a fraction. Keep that in mind when you're working this. All right, erase your boards. On to the next one. Where am I at? I'm at 11 minutes now, so I'm going to keep going. Okay, so let's look at another one. If I give you x equals 1, and I know we did this on IXL. If x equals 1, think of it like this. It means x is buffering. It's at 1, 1, 1, and it's stuck. It can't think of anything else to be but 1. So y can be whatever you want it to be. It doesn't matter. If you were to graph this, you would go over 1, up 2, over 1, up 3, over 1, up 4. This is a vertical line. Vertical lines start with a V, and the word that we do with V is vux. Vux is an undefined slope. So if you have x equals, you have a vertical line. Think of it like if you want to make a table, x is stuck. It's buffering at 1, 1, 1. Okay, so let's do the opposite. Y equals 2. That means that y is stuck and it's 2, 2, 2, 2. It's buffering. So that means x can be whatever we want it to be. It doesn't matter. We're going to make it whatever. So if I were to graph this, I would go over 2, up 2, over 4, up 2, over 5, up 2. So this creates a horizontal line. The word for horizontal is hoi. The O in the middle stands for 0. So this is a 0 slope. This is an undefined slope. You're going to have some multiple choice on here that you're going to have to remember that. Let's see. If I give you let's do this. How much time do I got? Oh, I got just a second. Okay, if I give you a 0.23 and I tell you that the slope is 1/2, and I ask you to write the equation of that line. Remember, when you have a point and a slope, we'll do y minus something equals something times x minus something. Point slope form. And all you do are plug in your values. X, this is the x, stays with x. Y stays with y. And the slope goes in the middle. Now this is point slope form. So if I ask you, and pay close attention, I might ask you for this in point slope form. Okay, pay attention that it's going to have be set up like this. If I ask you for standard form, let's say I ask you to write the equation of a line that passes through this point and goes through this in standard form. Well, I think the easiest way, it's going to take a little bit of work, but we would write it, y minus 3 equals hippity hoppity 1/2 x, and then minus 1, and then I would add 3 to both sides. So I'd get y equals 1/2 x plus 2. Okay, now what I'm going to do on the test is I'm going to give you an A, a B, a C, and a D in standard form of this equation. So remember, standard form is where I'm going to have x and y on the same side. So I might give you something like, let me see, x minus 2y equals negative 2, x plus 2y equals 2, 2x plus y equals negative 2, and 2x minus y equals 2. And I'm going to say which one of those is the equation of this line. And you're like, what? Yeah, I know. It's going to be a little bit tedious. It's going to take some work, but it's very doable. You would take your point and slope, write it into this form, simplify it. You know how to do this. And you get here and you're like, which one of these matches this? solve each one of these for y. So I'm going to take that first one. X minus 2y equals negative 2. So I'm just going to take A and I'm just going to solve it and see if it matches. So I'm going to move the x. So those cancel out and I get negative 2y equals negative 1x minus 2. I would divide by negative 2. So y equals negative over negative is a positive x. 2 divided by 2, oh I made that wrong, would be positive 1. Now my hope was when I made this one that I would actually make that right. So let me make this over here a 4. I'm going to make this a 4. This is called cheating when you make it work. Negative 4, which makes that a positive 2. 1/2 x plus 2, 1/2 x plus 2, they match. And I would circle that A was my correct one. Okay, so going from standard form, do what you know, slope intercept, and then solve these for y. All right, where am I at? Oh, I'm at 17 minutes. Ah! Okay, I want to remind you, parallel lines have the same slope. So y equals 3x plus 1, and it passes through, we'll say 2, negative 3. If I ask you for, let's make this 3, negative 3. If I ask you to write the equation of the line that has this slope and goes through this point, you would do y minus something equals something times x minus something. Use your equation that you know. Your slope is 3. 3 is going here. X stays with x. Y stays with y. When you have two negatives, you bump them together and make a gigantic positive. Here's your equation. Watch for what form I ask it. Typically, I would say put it in slope intercept. 3x minus 9, hippity hoppity. I would subtract 3. I know that's fast. 3x minus 12. And there it would be. So, if I give you a line parallel with a point, parallel lines have the same slope. If you can get it set up, I feel like you'll be able to find out the equation. If I ask you for the perpendicular, this is the last one. Perpendicular. All right, and I say y equals negative 1/3 x minus 1, and it passes through the point 6, 2. Perpendicular lines, that means the slope of this line is negative 1/3. The slope of the perpendicular line, flip it, so that makes it 3/1. Switch it, so it's negative to positive. So my slope is 3. So again, you do your y minus something equals something times x minus something. And you're going to plug in what you know. You know your slope is 3. X stays with x. Y stays with y. And then you would just simplify it. Perpendicular lines, flip it and switch it. Okay, on your dry erase board if you have it. Otherwise, I am going to leave this up here. Couple of things. Let's write this. Let's write point, and if you, like I said, if you want to write this on your board, you can. Y minus something equals something times x minus something. Okay. Slope intercept is y equals mx plus b. And let's underline the m and the b. Parallel lines have the same slope. And then we're going to write perpendicular lines flip and switch for the slope. Let's see, what other things do you need? I don't think you need anything else. Let's do Hoy, and we'll say 0 slope. And let's do Vux is the undefined slope. All right, I'm gonna try and put that where it works. Right there. I'm gonna pause my video. Thanks for watching, y'all. Good luck on your test.